Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice, is a weird title for the second movie in a franchise. You gotta at least wait till the fourth movie to say that. And this movie features not one single character from the original, but they did manage to snag one of the producers of Hellraiser 3. Nice. Children of the Corn 2 takes place, hopefully immediately after the events of the first movie, but knowing Bert, he probably got lost on the way to get the authorities and died of exposure. Classic Bert. The authorities from nearby Hemmingford go to Gatlin where they find the bodies of some of the adults in a cellar. And you know, kids today just don't know the importance of carrying around handkerchiefs to cover up an awful smell. Like, you don't see that anymore. But I bet all those kids have smartphones in their pockets. But is your iPhone gonna mask the stench of a rotting corpse? Where's your app for that, Trevor? And along with the smell-blocking handkerchief, they also seem to have brought along homemade lightsabers.
Death in Heartland, America. A tragedy of macabre proportions. I can honestly tell you that I have never seen anything as shocking as what was
dear God, I'm getting higher off the ground. Can no one see me? Why are you still talking? I'm floating away. The police and the news media descend upon the town, and the remaining children of Gatlin are then bused to Hemmingford, where they'll be placed with foster families. Which is weird, because they know the kids did this. It's not disputed.
Those kids did. You should all pay for this.
And from what I recall, the vast majority of children took part in these murders, or at the very least were very willing to let it happen. How are you just going to release them onto an unsuspecting town? Like, look at this kid. He has definitely murdered someone's Aunt Doreen. The only person who objects to putting the kids in foster care is Gatlin's former schoolteacher, Mrs. Burke.
Don't you make that noise! Stop it!
Oh, Mrs. Burke, what are you going on about this time?
If we let those children in our houses, we're gonna end up dead, just like those people did.
I mean, she does roll up like a crazy person, but she's 100% correct. So I guess it's just her age and her delivery that makes her very easy to dismiss. Alright, she comes in hot. You just think she's gonna be deranged. John Garrett is a failed reporter who's traveling with his son Danny through Gatlin on the way to a new job, while listening to Gatlin's version of the Morning Zoo. Hey there, all you Gatlinites. You're listening to WCRN, home to all the hit sermons from the 60s, 70s, and today. We're here to keep you company on your morning commute. The phone lines are open. The first 10 callers who've saved their parents' soul by sacrificing them to he who walks behind the rose wins a limited edition WCRN tote bag. And now, avoid eternal hellfire with the soothing sounds of Pastor Hezekiah on WCRN, The Corn.
Lord, cares not if we have fallen from the pedestal of righteousness.
They run into two old colleagues of Garrett who fill him in on the murders and make fun of him in front of his son.
I love that piece you did on JFK and his secret marriage to Rock Hudson. That was some journalism.
All right.
That's like the lowest point a man could ever get to. Like, good God.
Don't look so down. Just make something up. That's your specialty, isn't it?
Well, it's nice to see your friends like and respect you.
Holy hell. Garrett will never earn his son's respect back now. I mean, he's gonna have to punch like 30 corn children to even start to mend that bond. Garrett thinks that this story could reignite his career and maybe make his son think that he's not such a pathetic failure, so they make their way to Gatlin. Garrett is like several hours late to the party, and the story has already been covered by more reputable news organizations, but his son thinks he's a dink, so he's gotta try. He meets Angela Casual, who is the proprietor of a bed and breakfast in nearby Hemmingford.
Just one question. One question.
Okay, one.
Okay, what is corn? Garrett and Danny decide to rent a room at her establishment so that Garrett can chase this story. Now, we know that Garrett is supposed to be a loser for trying to cover this event, but this should be the biggest news story ever. And even if the media didn't care, the police should be going over every square inch of that town. The dicks who made fun of Garrett get lost and decide to take a shortcut through the corn. That's a terrible idea, even if there weren't bloodthirsty corn monsters about. They stop the van when a freak storm rolls in, and somehow manage to get separated, and they both get killed by corn. Not the children of the corn, like, just corn. Like, this particular piece of corn slits Bobby's throat like he's a mob informant or something. And then this poor son of a bitch gets stabbed with a cornstalk. Angela is fostering one of the children of the corn named Micah, and Garrett begins trying to get information out of him. So this corn, like, it's something that you eat? And Micah tells him that the adult's blood was for the corn. And while we're here, are bed and breakfasts all still like this? Do you have to eat every meal with the host and the other guests? Because that just sounds like hell on earth. Why would you ever want to subject yourself to that? And Garrett immediately gets to work with his top-notch reporting skills.
Right, adults are dead. You have the children of those adults. Corn.
Wow, what a scoop. And you say you're a failed reporter, huh? No, I don't buy that. So Garrett is clearly right on the cusp of really breaking this story wide open when he sees Micah going into the cornfield. Micah is then chased through the corn and is possessed by he who walks behind the rows and gets taken to the corn zone. And he becomes corn at the cellular level. The science is pretty complicated. I almost went to junior college, so I get it, but it's understandable if some don't. The other children are in the corn waiting for he who walks behind the rows to show up, and Mordecai and Jedediah are having a power struggle over what to do next. Jedediah is worried because Isaac said that when there were no more adults, they would see the truth, but it hasn't been revealed to them yet. It might have something to do with the fact that Mordecai is clearly 32 years old. Jedediah doesn't believe in any of it anymore and wants to leave when Micah shows up and tells him to go home and wait for a sign from he who walks behind the rows. Garrett goes to see Mrs. Burke, who's being terrorized by the local children. Like, even in a non-horror situation, a group of teenagers congregating outside your house should be cause for alarm. Packs of teenagers are almost always up to no good. She tells Garrett that all of the children are in on it, as the children are just staring at her from across the lawn, and gross. Someone smeared a poop cross on her porch. Yep, sounds like the kids in my neighborhood. Garrett, nope, that's clearly poop. Don't touch it. Okay. Alright, well, don't smell it. Alright, well, just make sure you don't wipe it on your... What the hell, dude? So later, Garrett's gonna be walking around and someone's gonna say, oh man, something smells like horse shit in here. And Garrett's just gonna pretend to sniff the air and be like, oh yeah, gross, what is that?
Oh boy, that was a mistake.
What? The touching poop, the smelling poop, or the wiping poop on your pants? Or do you just consider all of it to be one big mistake? And the children were probably all set to just stab Mrs. Burke to death, but they're handed an absolute slam dunk when she goes under her house to get her cat, and the children take that opportunity to release the hydraulics and crush her. Okay, so this movie has some weird parallels to Wizard of Oz, and I can't quite figure out why. Like, when we first meet Mrs. Burke, she's riding a bike with a basket like Mrs. Gulch, and now she's being crushed by a house like the Wicked Witch of the East, while repeating the final words of the Wicked Witch of the West, and I don't get the symbolism here. Oh, and I guess another parallel is that Garrett has poop on his pants, and the Scarecrow had to have been just covered in crow feces. Danny meets Lacey, who used to live in Gatlin until her parents died in a non-corn sacrifice-related car accident, and she and Danny hit it off immediately. Probably because they're the only two kids in town who aren't weird or shit. Garrett goes to Mrs. Burke's house, and dang, I think more people turned out for this house crushing an old lady than they did for an entire town full of dead adults. And this movie inexplicably keeps up with the Wizard of Oz theme.
It's Ruby! Who killed my sister?
It was an accident, Miss West.
From what I can gather, no one involved in the production of this movie is related to anyone from the Wizard of Oz, and they don't share any of the same themes. Garrett is still chasing the story, and he goes to the Gatlin school, and seriously, this whole town should be crawling with police and the news media. Garrett then meets local anthropologist Frank Redbear, and it goes about how you would expect it to go anytime Garrett meets someone new.
That shit ate right through my pants.
Garrett forbids Danny from seeing Lacey, which Micah uses as his way to try to recruit Danny into his silly little murder club. Micah should just give Danny the inside scoop on where he buys his cool clothes. Or, I know what you're thinking, Micah should just tell Danny all about what it was like to play DJ Connor on Roseanne, but get that nonsense out of your head right now because that is not the same kid. That night, the children attack the doctor.
It's serious trouble!
Alright, who brought the kitchen knife? We all agreed that needles were the proper symbolism to kill the doctor. This is why we rehearsed these things. But Sally, good job with the doll. It was very creepy and menacing. Like, honestly, you are sick as hell. I love it.
The sower of seeds must be a child, so that what is planted is without corruption.
We are one! We are one!
And see, this is what happens when kids learn about sex from their friends. Micah tries to recruit Danny into the cult.
Will you be a soldier for he who walks behind the rows?
But surely Danny is smarter than that. Oh, okay. Cults usually have to break people down first, but Danny is just all in. I'm sure even Micah was expecting a little bit of pushback. Like, I get that Danny's bored in Hemingford, but he's got a girlfriend now. You don't have to hang out with a bunch of weirdos in a cornfield. The next day, Danny's on a date with Lacey, and I 100% guarantee he neglected to mention that he joined a cult last night. They run and frolic through the corn when they find the missing dead bodies from Gatlin. Red Bear and Garrett discover last year's harvest of corn sitting in storage with a poisonous green mold on it, and they realize that the sheriff and the doctor have been mixing this corn with the current yield in order to make more money. It's beyond stupid. Red Bear says that the toxic mold can lead to hysteria and hallucinations, especially in children. So, are they suggesting that there is no corn demon and that the kids were just under the influence of mold? Just then, the sheriff shows up and ties them up in the middle of the cornfield so they can't tell anyone about the dumbest scheme in the history of corn-based schemes.
You see, they only test a portion of the shipment. And if you pay the right folks, they only test the good parts.
Is there a lot of money in year-old poisoned corn? Like, the inspector might look the other way, but consumers might notice green corn that smells like shit. So the sheriff decides to kill them by running them over with the harvester.
Why don't you just shoot?
Well, I'd actually have to explain that, and someone might not believe me. This, I don't have to explain this. Who could? It doesn't make sense.
You got that right. He rigs the harvester to drive toward them as they struggle to get out.
Try to get this out of the ground. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh my god, don't go on 3. Go on 1. They manage to get away and they find the bodies of the reporters, and Red Bear quickly abandons the hallucinogenic mold theory.
My ancestors believed in a spirit of the earth, a god who seeks revenge for the wrongs done to the earth.
That's your answer? That God did this?
You got a better one?
Yeah, the poison mold was a pretty good explanation. Micah is holding yet another meeting in the corn, as children of the corn are wont to do, and they're beginning Danny's initiation.
Danny, are you ready for the offering?
Yes.
I mean, come on, Danny. He is just very easily swayed. Honestly don't know what he's getting out of this. You cannot be this bored or disillusioned. Yeah, because you don't want to look like a dork in front of the super religious teenagers wearing robes. Micah then tells Danny to sacrifice Lacey to nourish the corn.
Each drop of their blood shall nourish the seeds of new life!
You know, I've grown corn in my backyard before. It really just needs water and sunlight. The human blood thing is a myth.
We are one! We are one!
Man, Danny really gives in to peer pressure, doesn't he? I mean, he is really considering this. Just then, Garrett and Red Bear run the harvester through the sacrifice, and Danny finally gets his window of opportunity to not murder his girlfriend. Fight breaks out and Red Bear gets killed by an arrow, and Mordecai finds out the hard way that adults are super hard to kill when you don't sneak up on them. Everyone escapes to the corn with the children in pursuit, but they all somehow manage to make it back to the sacrificial circle. It's like having 4 Berts.
Stop this now.
Silence!
Oh man. He is gonna have a hell of a time getting to third base with Lacey now. He could maybe convince her that he was never gonna kill her, and that he's just waiting for the right moment, but getting bitch slapped by a corn pastor? That's hard to come back from. Although it does help shift the balance in the father-son dynamic. So I think they're both equally pathetic now, so their relationship might be better. And oh, Red Bear is still alive, and he drives the harvester towards Micah, and then dies for real.
Please, Danny, you're my friend!
Danny! Go, dude, are you that desperate for a friend? The only thing you and Micah have ever talked about is his weird corn religion and murdering your girlfriend. Micah gets chewed up by the harvester and everyone gets away before it explodes. And, oh, Red Bear is still alive. Nope. Okay, I'm gonna quit calling it till we know for sure. Okay, well now for everyone's sake, I hope Red Bear actually was dead this time. And I'm no expert, but I think if your friend is murdered, it's probably not the best idea to just burn his body. And I mean, what laws are they breaking right now? You got desecration of a corpse and setting a fire in a dry cornfield for one. There's gotta be a burn ban going on right now. I don't even think you're allowed to bury someone in your backyard, so an unlicensed funeral pyre for someone that you just met has to at least be a hefty fine.